All aboard! Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Shaky Hand Shed. And go on, subscribe. You know you want to, you're here anyway. Just press that button and press the bell icon for notifications. You know it makes sense, Rodney. Anyway, here's our subject on this video. It's a little bachman or 6/0 switcher. And I bought it cheap a while ago. I had to do what weathering it before, but this time I want to make it really grotty, because weathering's a bit worn on it anyway. Not that you can tell, weathering's weathering, I suppose. But anyway, body off. I'm not really doing anything with the motor because it's running pretty smooth. We start with Winsor and Newton oil colours. Any oil colour would do, really. It's just to scrub it in and bleach the paintwork. And as you can see on the roof, there are bits. It's not taken to a bit because in error. I used wet on dry on it before to get rid of a mark. And it smoothed the roof off, so it wouldn't take to that area, but hey ho. And at this point I'm spraying it with, ignore the colour, marked on the model colour. It's a sort of, what were it? Brown violet, I think it's called. Vallejo model colour. Just gives a nice bit of muck on it. My airbrush isn't that great at the moment, it's battered. But that doesn't matter, it's weathering. It would do later on, but hey ho, whatever. Whatever, Trevor. And there we go, it's just a bit on top. Because it's going to be covered anyway, as in here. I'm using oven roll weathering powders. And the colour there isn't the right colour I'm using. I'm using sand there, but I used a variety of weathering powders here. I used an old set of Cars weathering powders as well as Umbro, because I don't have a lot of the Umbro yet. And you can see where I've touched it and stuff, and it's been smooth. It doesn't overly panic me because weathering isn't uniform. You get bits where people have put things on and moved it. And at this point I've added a little bit of Vallejo Premium varnish to the weathering powders. It enables you to dab in and get a bit more texture, and it gets moved around anyway. It's a good varnish for stuff like that, this Vallejo, as it's a very light varnish, it's not heavy and thick. I'd recommend it to everyone, it's cracking stuff. For stuff like this, it's now my go-to varnish. And there we go, just dabbed it in some more. A couple of different colours. We've dabbed it in, and what I'm doing here, I'm concentrating on the exhaust. Dabbing more rust colours in. When I get round to it, anyway I am. Come on, fatty, you've not got all day. Get a move on. You know, somebody with an IQ would have cut that bit out of the film. And there we go, just dabbing in the rust colour. and it's been dabbed in with the Vallejo varnish again, taking care not to get it where you don't want it. Just dabbing it into the exhaust stack where the paint had been burnt off and you'd have got rust settled in. And there we go, I'll do, putting some light coloured rust on, some reddish on top. And if it's too red, don't worry, you can dab it so it mixes in with the darker underneath. That's why I'm putting it on top of the darker. You can dab it in, and at that point I'm probably blowing stuff off, which yeah, you can see I've blown it off, and you can see the rust finish on the exhaust stack. The varnish and dabbing the weathering powders in gives you the texture, and here I'm doing another layer of lighter coloured rust as well. And at this point I'm using Winsor & Newton black oil paint, and what I do, just put it on the areas where I'm going to want it, and then I scrub it in. How heavy or light you scrub it in is entirely up to you. It's just so it has some oil marks on the doors. And do the same round the front of the radiator grill, so it has some oil marks, and on the other side. I just position it first with a small brush, and then you learn a little goes a long way, so you can actually do a very little small piece, and it'll go a long way when you actually start scrubbing it. And before this point I'd actually sprayed the chassis in Vallejo track colour, and I'm doing some weathering powder on top of it again. I'm using the Humbrol rust colour, and here we go, I've got my big brush for scooching it around. Tried wiping it off, and as you can see there, it stains it a wee bit, because in essence here what I'm doing, I'm dry brushing silver on for wear on the handrails and foot plates where you'd have wear, like steps and foot areas. There'd be wear where the metal were worn through and it's kept rust off because you're walking on it. And there we go, that's the basics. Just mooching it round a bit with a paintbrush. Oh no, wait a minute, we're putting some browny colour on there. And at this point I'm going over the windows with a Q-tip in water first, then I buffed them up with the other end just to get rid of all the stuff you sprayed on while you've been weathering it. It also gives them Sinbad windows. All those of a certain age will know what I'm on about when I said Sinbad windows. Well, all those of a certain age in the UK. Anyway, here's where we started. And already I'd weathered it once, but it had worn off. And this is where we finished up. A heavily weathered yard shunter. Not seen painting from day one. It's an ex-Santa Fe. Presumably it's working in a yard somewhere now. Anyway, here we are with pictures of it on my Kodak corner layout that It's called Kodak Corner because I specifically made it to photograph models on. Here we are exiting the tunnel, and here we are going past the shed, and an 08 Grom. Gronk is pointing out there. And there we go, looking rather nice I must say. Anyway, thank you for watching, and tatty pie people, tatty pie. Take care out there.